swim lane flowchart is a diagram that visually shows the steps of a single process and the responsibilities of each agency involved. It shows a clear beginning, all the possibilities for ends, and all the phases taking the process from beginning to end. Let's take a look at an example here. This process starts with a child asking his parents for a puppy. The parents make the decision, and then we follow the process whichever way they decide. Let's say they agree to get a puppy. They would then go to the animal shelter and select a puppy to adopt. After that, dog food must be purchased and the parents must decide if they will fix the dog. Let's say they decide not to. They then get a license for the dog, and finally, the child can have his puppy. As you can see, the process is divided into swim lanes, which show who is doing each action. Let's take a closer look at what some of these symbols mean. Swim lanes divide the chart into persons or groups responsible for each part of the process. The terminal is where the flow chart starts. It is the trigger that puts the whole process into motion. Terminators are stop points. Many flowcharts have multiple stop points. Decision symbols represent a decision that must be made by the group in the particular lane. The process symbol is the most common symbol. This represents an action step that must be carried out by the person represented in the swim lane. A predefined process is a series of actions that have already been set. It means you can find the information about this process elsewhere, where it is final and formal. The document symbol is for a process that produces a document. This is the general symbol for storage. Often this refers to a hard drive on a computer.
Now that we have a basic understanding of how swim lane flowcharts work and what the most common symbols are, let's take a quick look at the basics of how to make one. Open up Visio and create a cross-functional flowchart. It will open up like this. You can change the title simply by double-clicking on the text. Here, we can name it Swim Lane Flowchart. You can also rename the individual lanes by double-clicking them. In the Shapes pane on this side, you can see all the symbols that you can use to customize your flowchart. To create more lanes, simply drag the swim lane icon onto the chart and create a new one. You can also add dividers to break up more complex charts into multiple phases. To create shapes, you simply drag them onto the flowchart. As you can see, Visio will help you align the shapes, making your charts look more organized and professional. You can double-click on the shape to rename it. If we drag out another shape here, we see that Visio will help us align the shapes with each other. Now, to connect the shapes, we must select the connector tool instead of the pointer tool. Once the connector tool is selected, you simply drag from shape to shape to create connections. Visio has another handy way to create shapes. With your pointer tool selected, hover over a shape. The shape will show little arrows coming from its sides. If you click on an arrow, you will have the option to create one of the 4 most common shapes. It creates the shape and connects to it automatically. The Shapes pane over here has more shape options for you to choose from. If you select more shapes, you'll see that there are tons of options for you to choose from, depending on what kind of complex symbols you need for your flowchart. When you pick a new category, the symbols appear below the standard flowchart symbols. One more nifty trick is that you can easily resize your flowchart. If your flowchart becomes larger than the page, Visio will automatically create more pages for you. With this basic knowledge of how to create a swim lane flowchart in Visio, you can start making your own flowcharts now.